My name's Keith Nitka, and I'm proud to be the Battleship Operations Manager on board Battleship Wisconsin here at Nauticus. I want to thank you for joining me today on this Whiskey Wednesday virtual adventure. Today we're going to talk about something that's referred to as upper air operations, but what it actually is weather balloons. Like most U.S. Navy ships of this size, there is the aerographer's mates on board, or the weather guessers, the weather guys. And you may have seen the virtual adventure that I did with a former crew member, shipmate of mine, BJ Hooker. He came on board and we talked about weather operations up in the weather shack, up on the 04 level forward just behind the pilot house. Back here, where I'm standing now, is where we actually launch the weather balloons from. So the weather balloons, of course, are filled with helium. They go up into the air. They carried a radio sonde, which are compact, lightweight, package-equipped sensors that read atmospheric data the entire way up while it's up in the air, and then the entire way down. Data like temperature, air pressure, humidity, those sort of things, dew point, wind speed, wind direction, everything that the aerographer mates would need to fill out their weather reports and get the proper weather readings. The maximum height on those are 100,000 feet. And that is the upper threshold of where the balloons can go. The weather balloons themselves are made of latex. A 200-gram balloon, which you're going to see in a little bit, inflated when it's fully inflated, it has a diameter of roughly 6.5 feet. And when it reaches its maximum altitude, which is at 100,000 feet in the air, at that point the balloon has expanded from 6.5 feet to roughly 30 feet in diameter. And that's why at that point in time, can you imagine a 30-foot diameter balloon? That's where it would actually burst, which is why we don't want to reach that 100,000 foot threshold. The weather office, as I was saying, is up forward behind the pilot house, but the balloon operations that takes place back here on the fantail all happen from the balloon shack, which is up there just above me here by that platform. That is the balloon shack. That's where they would prepare the launches for the day, usually twice a day, morning and afternoon, and the balloons would be sent up to record data that was then needed. The data would be processed here on board the ship and then sent off to NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The data that was received and recorded and processed and sent off to NOAA was not only important for NOAA, but it was important for us here on board the ship and for the battle group itself, because we need to know the weather, the temperature, the dew point, and all that stuff, wind direction, wind speed, and all those things, to fire these big guns, to fire the Tomahawk missiles, to take care of the Pioneer, the remotely piloted vehicle, to make sure that that doesn't go into harm's way, all those different things. So there's a lot of different moving parts that require the weather here on board the ship, the aerographers' mates, to be accurate in their data recording and actually doing the weather in that case. The balloons on board the ship used a strong, lightweight cord that had the balloon attached to it, and also the radio sonde, and it could be launched by one sailor. Sometimes two crewmen would be out here to launch and recover the balloon, but typically it was just the one sailor. We here on board Battleship Wisconsin, through the Education Department in Nauticus, actually have a weather balloon here on board the ship, and I'm going to now talk to some of the folks in education about what it is that they do with their programming on the weather balloon. So I'm here now with Alex Boback. Alex works in the Education Department here at Nauticus, and one of the things that he does at Nauticus is do interpretive pieces out here on the battleship. So he has with him today, as you can see here, this is the program that they do with the weather balloon itself. So I'm going to let Alex explain a little bit about what it is that the program entails, what we do out here, and then where that information, if there is any to be gathered, where it's going to go. So Alex, if you would, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. So with our education program here, talking about the weather balloon and meteorology, first and foremost, we do have an example of the weather balloon right here. It is obviously deflated, as you can see, but We do, at certain periods during the week, we will inflate one and launch it, and it'll go up so people can come and see that and kind of get an idea for how that looked. But we do have one on the table for people to come and basically touch and check it out. We do have the radio sonde right here that Keith had mentioned earlier, and it's a little two-part right here. It'll basically attach right to the bottom of the latex balloon here and just kind of dangle. And what it does is it'll gather basically temperature, humidity, and that'll be used through this part right here. And then this is basically sending GPS coordinates so you know where you're gathering that information from. But this will just kind of dangle from there. And so we'll be talking about that and interpreting that, and hopefully somewhere down the line we'll be able to actually gather some of that data in real time, so then we can display our own weather and meteorological findings we're gathering. So,
Okay.
And the other important thing that we have here is we got this guy. It's basically a parachute. It connects up to the radio sonde right here because this balloon actually has a bursting point, and once it reaches that point, the balloon will burst and it'll drop the radio sonde down or back to Earth, and it'll have more of a cushion landing when this little cheap orange parachute deploys. So, and then we can gather the radio sonde again when we find it using the GPS and hopefully reuse it right there.
What is that? Yes.
A bell jar.
A bell jar.
Yes. The bell jar is used to demonstrate air pressure at various heights. Now,
Okay.
you mentioned that the balloon will grow once it reaches about 100,000 feet, on its ascent, and it'll burst. And it's kind of hard to visualize it now without the aid of pictures.
Okay.
But using this bell jar here, I'm going to actually get this out of the way. The bell jar here, we can demonstrate to both kids and families and whatnot what that looks like when it rises. So we just take a slightly inflated balloon, we put that in there like so, and we just connect it up.
Okay.
And we basically create a vacuum. We suck out all the air in there, and you can watch this little balloon start to actually grow until it fills up that whole container.
Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool.
We can do that right now. So it's just got to start pumping that out of there. Yeah, hold it down for me. Thank you. And
Oh, yeah, look at that.
you'll start to see it grow, and then it will get to a point where it just won't grow anymore, and that's pretty much when we've sucked out all the air around that balloon. So you can kind of see how it's grown quite a bit.
Yeah.
And this is on small scale what's happening to the balloon as it's ascending up to that 100,000 foot threshold.
Okay,
So
then that's because the air is getting thinner as it goes up, so it is expanding.
It's starting to spread out. Yeah. And the nice thing too is we'll just go ahead and pull this. There we go. Shrinks. So
That's awesome.
yeah. We have a marshmallow. Do you like marshmallows?
Roasted, yeah.
Roasted? Well,
Mhm.
this one, when it's done, will look kind of roasted.
Really?
Yes. So we're going to put a marshmallow in there
Okay.
instead of the balloon.
I'll hold on to that.
So, and actually, I'm going to have you pump this one up.
Oh, okay.
So you're going to do that. So you start pumping there. And just keep going.
Okay.
So you can see that marshmallow is getting bigger and
Yeah.
bigger. And it's going to get to a point because the sugar molecules have actually, well,
Not anymore.
nope, you're good, because it's a one-way valve, so
okay.
the air is not going to go in. But the sugar molecules inside there have actually ruptured. So you're going to see something very interesting happen. It's come to a point now where it's not going to get any bigger. It's going to start to shrink. So, and you probably reached that threshold.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it get larger anymore.
No.
And it
So
actually looks to me like it's starting to shrink.
it is. So now you can stop.
Okay.
And then what I'm going to have you do, now remember I said the sugar molecules broke.
Yeah.
So when you pull this out, you're going to see this get really small.
Okay.
Go ahead and pull that out. So
Wow.
it shriveled. It shrunk. So
Is it still edible?
yeah,
Okay.
have at it. How'd it taste?
Tastes exactly like a marshmallow. That's really cool about the marshmallow. That was very tasty too. But what about this stuff over here?
So this stuff over here, so the first thing we have is this piece of equipment right here. What they would do is they could use this to plot the ascent of a balloon. Some balloons they would send up and they wouldn't be tethered. The one we send up on the Battleship is tethered, so we can get it back down and reuse it. But a lot of the times they wouldn't reuse those balloons. You'd get maybe a red balloon or a black balloon, and they would send it up, and they would have guys that would monitor where it is going up in that atmosphere, and they would have to chart it. Okay. And from there, they can figure out which way the wind is going and kind of what's happening in that upper atmosphere. So that's what this little piece of equipment is right here. And then we have these other things. We have these two books we have right here. They're just basically stuff that an aerographer's mate is going to have on board to reference and stuff. We have oceanography, and then we also have forecasting for the mid-latitudes. So just quick reference books that they can get in here and kind of take a look and see and help kind of decode all the meteorological stuff they're gathering.
I gotcha. Cool. And now we have the ability to actually fly a weather balloon, right?
We do. We do have the ability.
So let's do that.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
Let's do it. So right now we're gonna start filling up the weather balloon with helium. So we got our helium right here. So bear with me. We're gonna start filling it up.
Perfect. So right now the end of the balloon has been doubled over itself. The carabiner that is going to attach to the line is inside of that bend, and I'm using the electrical tape here to secure it all in place.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Use that.
We're right now we're just attaching the radio sonde, so I think it's supposed to go like right there.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, clip it on that black part right there. All right, so now we are gonna go ahead and launch the weather balloon.
Cool.
And then Keith, just make sure you hold on to the radio sonde.
Yep.
Until the line goes taut, and it basically just leaves your hand as it ascends. So
I can do that.
Here we go. Whoops. So we should be able to just kind of watch it go.
Wow. So how high is that now?
So right now it is at about 535 feet, and that is per FAA regulation. So
we can't go any higher than that?
We can't go any higher than that, yeah.
Okay, so since we're talking about the FAA, I take it we have to let the FAA know that we're doing this.
We do. Since we have so much air traffic around here, we got the naval bases and the airport over there, we do have to let them know anytime we lift it off the deck here.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah, so if that's the max, then we'll bring it down.
All right, sounds good. So we'll start reeling it in.
And that's all we're doing is then just reeling it in.
That's all we're doing is just reeling it in.
Okay. So you saw what the balloon looks like at 535 feet from standing here on the deck of the ship. I suggest you come visit us here at Nauticus. On the 3rd floor, we have a brand new exhibit just opened up a few days ago, Norfolk in Time. And there's a balloon in there where you can go up in the balloon and you can look down and see what standing at 535 feet looks like when you're looking down onto the deck of the ship. So again, that's up in the 3rd floor of Nauticus. But weather balloon activity here on board Battleship Wisconsin, the education department is going to do it like every weekend, right?
Yeah, we're going to try and do it at least once a week, weather permitting.
Okay.
But yeah, we're hoping to be out here at least once a week. If we're not flying the balloon, we will still be out here likely talking about the balloon and talking about other instruments like the radio sonde and stuff like that. So we'd still love to have you there even if we're not sending the balloon up.
Cool. So yeah, so again, I offer that you come visit Battleship Wisconsin, talk to education, meet Alex and some folks in education, talk about the weather balloon, see all the amazing things that we've got going on around here. And I want to thank you for joining me today on this Whiskey Wednesday virtual adventure.
So I want to thank you for joining me today. Didn't think my voice get me higher. So I want to thank you for joining me today on this Whiskey Wednesday virtual adventure.